carry mid, tank top, kind of enabling jungler, all that sort of stuff that we kind of know PSG for. But looks like we will be getting onto the Rift for game number 1 of today, PSG taking on CFO. And I'm really hoping that despite PSG probably having the better draft in this game, that CFO can make it interesting. I mean, they are a team that is very unlikely to just sit back and let your opponent scale. And they have a lot of threat, particularly in the bot lane, as you said. 3 Scorches.
Yeah, 3 Arcane Comets, so it should be actually favored in the top lane for Malphite early with this Arcane Comet. Maybe not like level 1, 2, but as soon as you start to get a few points into that queue, you will start to take lots of chunks out of this Gnar, especially considering he has the bone plating instead of second wind.
And it is the Ghost here picked up by Wako, as well as Ignite by Woody. So still wanting a bit of pressure in that 2v2. Won't have the cleanse for the Varus ult, but you have to think it's not the biggest deal for the Xayah. And it looks like we'll have everyone starting in lane. Have to see what gets done with this level 1 Xayah Rakan. We've seen it time and time again. Oh, dodges the first E. Always a good sign. Looks like CFO's bot lane, though, probably will get the push. Pretty hard to contest Varus Karma, at least on the early waves, unless you can find some sort of W. Q was used, so Slaytrue needs to be a little careful how far he goes up. Has control of that bush, though, which always makes things very difficult. And potentially, if enough damage can be traded down here, Gemini is pathing down the map, so there could be a potential for some sort of early dive. Shroud is used mid lane as well, and I think the mid matchup, you're kind of not expecting much from it, particularly pre-6. Syndra should be getting priority, and then after that, when Akali has the ult, maybe can pressure. And I think this could be difficult for Gemini and the Lee Sin, because there just isn't a whole lot of guaranteed gank set up, right? There's the Karma W in bot lane, but it's quite hard to consistently get. Now, actually, low health bars, though. They're getting a lot of damage onto Wako very early. Will it be enough, though? I mean, they crashed these waves very quick, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of dive. Probably would have looked to hold waves longer if that were the case. But we'll still see. I mean, it is junglers on the opposite side of the map. I don't believe that was confirmed by anyone, though. It doesn't look like there's any wards placed in the junglers. So I think as of now, people are pretty unsure of where the junglers are. CFO continuing to push. I mean, they have this big wave, but there's just a lot of chunk to get through. It is 2 health potions used by Wako already, but he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and Shun getting himself a little bit of an early CS lead as we look to top, and this is just kind of the effects of the the Arcane Comet Malphite as we see him throw another cheese scroll here at Azi. And it is really hard to play these AD champs into Malphite in the early game when he does go this build, but importantly, he won't have the same amount of strength late game as you would with the likes of the Grasp. So it is definitely a trade-off, but I think when you look at CFO's team composition here, it really screams that they want to play for these early skirmishes, and I mean, we know them for these early dragons, right? It will spawn in 1 minute and 15 seconds. We'll see if they aim for it. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see a nearly on-spawn dragon out of them this game.
Yeah, definitely would not surprise me at all. His rest looks like he's up a bit too far. Flash is used early. I think he's dead.
He's going to get charged on. Are they able to follow this up? I don't think they'll have enough damage. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I guess like they don't want to commit any flashes. Probably ends up Malphite getting out around 10% if they do go for it. But that's pretty nice. I mean, the flash burned with Malphite on the weak side. Has to be very careful. I mean, potentially there's some sort of regank. Looks like the base will be completed by Janjir, though. Probably has to get back on the bot side in order to defend any sort of bot dives. Now waves continue to crash here. And I think importantly, Rest manages to get in that top wave as well, which is very, very crucial to make sure he doesn't get repeat ganked at any point. And so far, I mean, the bot lane, they're doing a good job of getting at least a little bit of damage dealt. But how much can it actually lead to? I mean, you bring up the dragon. That's kind of what CFO are known for at this point. Yubao, he's going to be freezing this wave mid. Has the TP of his own. Jimmy's going to be forced to cancel. Has to be careful, though. This is the second time a wave has been frozen by PSG. And Janjir's in the area. I believe he is spotted on a Raptor ward. Jimmy's going to want to crash this. I mean, he has Gemini kind of in the wings. Yeah, we'll just be able to continue to clear this out. I'd like to get a look at the top wave. I think it looks like it's going to be pushing back to rest now, so it is going to be safe as Janjir, He's entering the river ahead of this drag. I wonder if he wants to catch Gemini early. I believe he will be spotted on the water. Okay, they ping it out. Jinjia, though, he's maybe going to try find him. Bot Pro looks about even at this point. He has Gemini spots on another ward. Yubao hasn't recalled yet, and I think Jimian probably stronger here at level 6. Yeah, I think you might want to avoid this fight, Jinjia. You have to be careful of the Akali coming down.
Ooh, misses the Vault Breaker there. Gemini finding a lot of damage back onto him. Is going to force the flash. Ward jump to follow. Looks like that'll be all for now, but that should be priority over Dragon, and we know CFO, so Dragon should be theirs now.
Yeah, really interesting by Jinjia, I think. Probably wasn't respecting the mid matchup enough. Just playing a bit too aggro without having your mid able to move. Obviously, without any bases coming through, the Syndra was out of mana, and Akali still had all of hers, but bases will come through now. And bot health bar is looking a little low. PSG, they're potentially cheesing. Okay, gonna come out and clear this bush, or clear this wave instead. As Jimian actually that goes for the Sork Shoes. Kind of interesting, so not going for any mercs. Probably has tenacity from his runes in the Unflinching and the Legend Tenacity. And that will give him a lot more pressure in the 1v1. Ooh, I can actually base. Wonder how much of this wave is going to miss. I don't think Woody can afford to hold it. So, going to miss a pretty sizable amount of this wave, and at least we are kind of seeing the Varus used to good effect, at least for now. Has themselves the CS lead. I wonder now if Gemini will look towards that Dragon. Currently has pressure over mid, but bot lane is recalling. So he's on a bit of a timer. See if he ends up starting it up. It's CFO. So they started up, but we'll have to see.
Ooh,
yeah,
big
nice
chunk onto Woody.
Yeah, it looks like it will be theirs. They got the bot lane pathing to them out of base. So this should be cleaned up rather nicely. And having that mid-pro from that level 6 Akali is always nice. Yubao falling a little bit behind in CS. Obviously only is down a little bit, but kind of expecting to be ahead in this matchup. As this will be the first Dragon, now picked up from CFO. I wonder, do they forsake the Rift Herald and try and invade this red buff? Because currently they have some threat from mid. They definitely want to skirmish around the bot side, but shouldn't have stuck catching a wave under tower, so they need to be kind of careful. It looks like Gemini will just complete the reset. Is Rest actually that goes for the alternator, so is actually just going AP Malphite this game, it looks.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I guess that's going to give them a lot more damage in these team fights, particularly AP damage. Makes their damage spread quite hard to deal with, especially for Ozzy. He doesn't really want to be having to itemize into that much MR, considering he is against also the Lee Sin as well as Varus.
I wonder which one he ends up building, because obviously you can go for the, the Night Harvester, the Rocket Belt. Have to see what it ends up being. Could also be the case of him going, just a 1 AP item into tank. Or sometimes you see the, the Mythic Zonyas and then tank. So lots of options here for the Malphite build. And I think it kind of makes sense to just give Akali a little bit more follow-up. Does have to be very careful though, as Wilby's very squishy, and RJ, he's altered.
Has gone in here, Ozzy really, really low. Wilby, Dragon's kicked away. It is going to be first blood. It is also going to be going to Gemini, so an early lead now given to CFO, and that's exactly what they're looking for.
Is really nice, as bot lanes will trade sums. Wako used the Ghost. Heal is burned from Shun, and with that top kill, you think it should be Herald going the way of CFO. Importantly, I think RJ used his flash there. Probably not regankable until Malphite has the ult, and there's going to be some contest from PSG, but I don't think they should be able to.
Yeah, probably that's a huge chunk out of the cheese scroll.
I'm surprised they're so hard contesting this. Kind of feels like they should just be forced away. RJ TP's back.
Ooh, Jinjia looking now onto Jimmy, and we'll find him with that cease and desist. It does go over now to Yubel, so early kill on the board for the Syndra. That's really important, and I feel like Jimmy's stuck around too long there trying to contest the river.
Yeah, probably just could have continued away with the E. It's pretty difficult gank to avoid here from RJ. Obviously didn't have the best vision. I think probably should have just held on to the flash. Really didn't make much of a difference. And I kind of wish we got a replay on what just happened, because I felt like Jimmy just almost walked into them. Eat away, and then maybe felt like he wasn't going to get out anyway and tried to recommit. Also maybe didn't see the TP come through from the Gnar. But I think a kill traded back onto Syndra might even be worth more than the Herald overall. Oh, engage.
Oh, engage will land. Chain of Corruption dodged out. We see Featherstorm go out as well. Shun on 1 HP should be okay to live for now, but massive attempt there from PSG, and that's not good showing, losing all your summoners.
Yeah, I feel like maybe just weren't on the same page. I think that actually could have worked, but it felt like the follow-up from Wako wasn't quite quick enough. And looks like this Herald will connect. It's a little bit of gold that goes over, but if you actually look now, it's PSG that have a pretty sizable lead, and importantly, Yubao has the Liandry so early into the game. It's going to be very impactful at these early Dragon fights. Having your Syndra so accelerated so early is definitely a good look. Plates currently favor the side of CFO, but it really is just those CS leads, especially in top lane. And the jungle as well, favor the side of PSG. They'll try and regain some of this bot side vision now. Isn't really anything to play for top side, and with the Herald already neutralized, you kind of expect it will just be playing for this river control ahead of the next dragon. The Ghost Blade is now completed by Shun, but he doesn't have Flash, and Jinjia does, so next team fight, we'll have to be a little careful.
Yeah, and it looks like it will be the rocket bout for Malphite in the top lane here, unless that blasting wand turns into something else, of course, but I would suspect it's going to be the rocket bout.
Always interesting. Rest, he has some different ideas with his top lane builds. And river control, looks like it will be to the side of PSG. I'd be curious to see who actually ends up winning this next fight, and it comes down to a contest because, you know, PSG's bot lacking a lot of sums and also no mythic on Wako. At the same time, though, if you take a look at the mid items, you know, level 10 versus level 9 for Yubao, as well as a, you know, full mythic completed. And with the point and click from Jinjia, not having Flash and Shun can be very dangerous. Wonder now if they're kind of looking for some sort of pick. Ooh, Jinjia's looking. Is just going to be content with the Scuttle Crab for now. And CFO, I think they kind of need to keep pressuring. They have a comp that for sure gets outscaled. Obviously, there is always the element of teamfight execution, but it looks a lot better in those later fights for PSG as RJ will walk down the map completely. Rest almost has his TP, so if he wants to 5v5, probably could. With such sizable control here for PSG, I think it will just end up going over. RJ's going to make his way back topside, and only 13 minutes in, and PSG already tie up the Dragon, so I'm liking their position more and more. Rest will trade back gold onto the top side, and he is an AP Malphite, so the gold certainly is useful, but could be troublesome, I think, up against a Xayah ult and maybe a Zhonya's or even a Banshee's if Yubao goes for it.
Gemini topside here, so Ozzy should be a little bit careful, but we'll have access to Meganar shortly. And this game is kind of just a prime example of how good PSG are at just neutralizing. They should be like almost losing a lot of their objectives here just by nature of team composition and champions. But they've managed to hold on. They've traded 1-for-1 in kills and 1-for-1 as dragons. Obviously, Rift Herald did go over to CFO, which is their main advantage. But ultimately, with the composition PSG's put forward and the state of the game, it's looking really good for them. As nice connection on that Syndra stun mid.
And one thing I want to mention is the fact that CFO had double counterpick for these solo laners. It was both the Gnar and the Syndra that were blind. The counterpicks that come through, obviously they are more of kind of team compositional counters as opposed to lane phase counters. But currently it's both the PSG solo laners that have a lead. And not really what you want to expect or what you want to see out of your red side, right? Kind of expecting to have better solo lane matchups. But instead are, you know, behind mid and top and only marginally ahead bot. Now the Mythic here completed. Arja needs to be a little careful under his tower. There are members around, actually 4 members on his side of the map. TP comes in from Jimmy as well.
Yeah, it will be him going down here. Overcommit there for the TP, but nice kill there found onto Arze, and pretty hard to play around as we see sums again used from Shun there. The heal in exchange for the quickness out of Rakan. Now he has to be careful as well. Jinjia down here. Don't think they'll be able to get mid tower just yet, but certainly a nice chunk is done onto it.
Maybe that could be taken down with the Herald in 35 seconds. And while Gemini has picked up 2 kills, it's obviously nice, but it's not really what's going to help you scale into this game. They managed to pick up first tower off that, but it will be traded back in the bot side. Once again, more gold going over to the Syndra. Going to be very fed, and it looks like maybe going for the second item, Shadow Flame here, so no defensive from Yubao, perhaps just wants to trade his flash with the Malphite ult. It is that Proto Belt as well as the Dark Seal here for Rest, so Definitely haven't seen a full AP Malphite in a while, but this could be the day to see where he ends up going after this. And Herald up now, TP comes in from Yubao, so most likely are going to try heavily contest this. And CFO, they're not in the area yet. Jimian is in base without TP. I'd be very surprised if they can mount any sort of contest.
Yeah, Ozzy's Mega Gnar is about to run out, but they will be able to get Rift Heal just before it goes down. So nice pickup there from PSG, and they are with a gold lead at the moment, so looking really, really good already in this game.
A lot will come down, I think, to that next Dragon. Like you said, have that gold lead already on a comp that, you know, can scale very well. Stun comes through. Slaytrue takes so much damage from Yubao. It's so difficult, I think, to be the Karma up against a team that just has so much threat on you. Can obviously just sit back and shield your Varus, but kind of feels like it's a waste of the pick almost. Need to be getting kind of aggressive, you know, pushing out the vision, making use of your lane dominance as this champ. And feels like for the most part, the bot lane has been pretty much neutralized. I mean, it was only, what, 1 or maybe 2 plates taken, and Drags ended up even. And we'll have to see, because one thing we've seen, you know, many times with the poke Varus is that once the lifesteal comes in, it feels so hard to actually get anything done. As 80 carries, I think Wako's actually about to be ahead. Yeah, really not the position you want your Varus to be in.
So before that Herald went down, Yubao obviously recalled and teleported in, and he didn't pick up any components. So could he perhaps be going for second item Death Cap?
Could be. It definitely could be. Depends how many stacks he has, I suppose. 35 seconds on this. Ooh.
Okay, Junji looking here for Gemini. Will find cease and desist, but no one really in the area. But Woody closing so much of a gap. That is a second kill now picked up for Yubao. They turn their attentions now towards this blue as well as the bottom inner. Dragon spawning now in 15 seconds. CFO do have an inside track now on this middle lane. It looks like they will get this tower, which is nice for the game to progress, but for the immediate time, it is definitely advantage PSG.
Yeah, I think no way you can contest this with dead jungler as well as no Malphite all. And while you might pick up that mid tower, it looks like it will be traded back as Herald has dropped here. And I think it's low enough that it dies to the charge. We'll have to see. And yes, it does actually end up going down as well as the Dragon picked up. So CFO feeling very good about this. And I think this kind of shows, you know, why the Vi is so highly prioritized. Not only can it be used to take out carries, but it's honestly pretty effective for engaging onto some of the tankier members too. Even Lee Sin that, you know, has the Gore Drinker, is fairly healthy. There's just so much follow-up that can come through here. Gemini, unfortunately, goes a bit too far up, tries to get out. But you see the layered CC coming through. Means another kill picked up for Yubao, and I think you're right. Could go towards that second item, Rabadons, and it looks like he will. It is 2 rods picked up. And I feel like on CFO, your window to kind of win this game is running out in a way. I feel like it's so difficult to teamfight into 2 carries that have flashes, and you haven't really found any sort of acceleration on the members that need it, right? No early skirmish kills picked up on the Akali. Shun still remaining 0-0-0. And where do you go here from CFI? I mean, it feels like you kind of got to make some sort of pick, but you don't even have the DPS to do the Baron, you know, with both the Varus and the Akali. I just like PSG's position way, way better.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say for CFO, though, the Malphite this game has already used R button, so that is a good sign in sort of contrast to what we saw last time Malphite was picked here in the playoffs. But ultimately, is this Malphite, obviously he is probably one of the best sort of team fighting champions in the game, but is he going to offer enough to combat the lead that is being formed, as well as sort of the items coming online for the side of PSG? We should soon see Death Cap, as well as, I'm not sure, I guess Wako will be going Bloodthirster. He might just sit on Vamp though.
I'd be down for sitting on Vamp. Feels like the B team might be the better choice, so especially up against the Akali. Try and make sure you have that overheal shield, or the BT shield, excuse me. As looks like the top tower will go down here. Yubao once again picks it up and probably will have his Rabadons on next base. Again, another tower traded, but you know, maybe not on the member you want. It kind of feels like it's going to be real tough, I think, for Malphite. It kind of needs the Xayah ult or flash to be burned by someone else. Deathcap now completed by Yubao very, very early into the game. Synergizes obviously very well with the Syndra passive. Not sure if he'll have the AP from it just yet. Should be a little while away. but already very, very strong. And I think while PSG have flashes up, it's very difficult for CFO. You're kind of expecting them to win by getting some sort of engage on the carries from the Akali and the Malphite. But I don't think they can find it. Now, a lot of pings around here. Jinjia is just going to back away, and I think PSG will probably just see what they normally do of try and keep farming in between dragons and mainly play for those big 5v5 team fights with all sums up.
You know what I find is kind of like hard for CFO here, right? It's like sometimes you see a game like this where you do get outscaled, you are behind, but you find like one lucky team fight having that Malphite and Akali, and you're then able to get down the Baron. But with Varus, Akali as your main source of damage in this game, you actually have literally no Baron damage. So it takes like a good 30, 40 seconds to be able to take that down. So even that's sort of off the cards for them in reality, and it just keeps looking better and better for PSG at the moment.
It really does. I think CFO, they have to try win a fight by a landslide, honestly, to get anything done. Like you said, takes a long time to do the Baron.
Jinjia finds his ult here onto Shun. Flash used before it lands. Follow up from Woody, and it looks like Wako will be taking him down. We do see Jimmy in the middle, as well as Rest. Ult will be dodged out by the Blade Caller. Are they going to be able to find more? It is 2 so far. Slaytrue now flashing away. What do they look for now? Yubel 2v1ing in the mid lane. Looks like he might just survive. Picked up there by Wako, and they're turning their attention now to the Baron.
Think that should just be Baron going over. I don't see any way CFO can contest. They've got no ult on this Akali. Slaytrue, maybe he can steal it with a Karma Q. There's a ward. Okay, if he steals this, he's a hero.
We'll have to see. Man, in those team fights, how unplayable is it for Shun? He just gets Vi-ulted, followed up by Rakan's cross-map dashes. Oh, did go for it. It was a valiant effort, but ultimately smited away there by Jinjia. It is now a 4k gold lead, almost 5k gold lead, as well as Baron picked up. Dragon spawns in 30 seconds. I don't feel like they have to do it. Probably should optimize the amount they get from this Baron.
Something you brought up in Champs League was it feels hard for Varus to play on Vi's range. Even there with the flash, can't get to safety. There's just too much engage and pretty much goes down straight away. Also nice by RG to keep Rest out of the fight. And you see that, right? It's just the Xayah ult traded with Malphite. I think credit to Yubao as well. On the side here, Walls just 1v2ing both Gemini and Jimian.
Back to game here, Jimian extremely low. Massive stun landed by Yubao, but Jimian is okay to survive. It will be disengages for now, but mid lane tower is getting minions at it. Rest is actually just split pushing top as this AP Malphite. Look at the damage to Champs.
Oh, look at the mid lane damage to Champs. This is your mid lane counter pick. I'm not sure what went wrong, but
he just missed everything, had to have.
Yeah, must have done, maybe one ability, but that's rough there, and I think it kind of shows, right, in the draft, we're saying at the start was, pretty tough for CFO. They didn't find the lead they needed, and now it kind of feels like you don't have a way in, and I think looking at Jimian's items as well, it's kind of forced to go the Zhonya's up against the Vi as well as the Syndra, but without having more damage, how can you ever kill either of the PSG carries? Feels like the writing is already on the wall. Only 24 minutes in. They are sieging the bot tower and are just going to be pushing up mid. Even the stopwatch now for Yubao doesn't have the flash, but I think having the stopwatch to trade with the next Malphite ult is pretty nice. TP comes in.
Yeah, TP behind here. Rest now all alone. They turn their attentions to him. It will be an ult there onto Yubao, but no damage to get it done as he loses almost all of his health. We see on the top side, however, Gemini does go down. And then we see also Rest going down. Jimmy now all alone in between 3. Looks for Yubao, but really nice shove there to secure that kill for Wako. And it's now 2 against 5 as minions siege up against this bot lane inner.
What more can they get done? They've still got 45 seconds on this Baron. Yubao's going for the recall and doesn't have the TP, so maybe they can't actually take a whole lot more. I think this wave could end up being cleared. No, it will not. Varus a bit too low. Shun does have to back away, and this will be the bot inhib importantly picked up, which can make contesting that next dragon and the next Baron as well even more difficult. Looks like bot inhib now finally grabbed, and I think PSG probably will just commit to recalls. Must have a lot of gold here. We'll get a look at the replay. So TP comes in from Rest initially, but it kind of feels like it's doomed to fail. Yubao, he has the Zhonya's if he needs it, but didn't even need to because there's just no follow-up damage, as we'll see here. Really nice by Woody to come just peel this off. And even the full AP Malphite, right, without the follow-up, can only get Syndra down to 50%. And then on the other end of the team fight, the Vi engage is Chain CC. Gemini found himself 2-0 in this game, but is point and clicked down all the same. Nice stun as well at the very end. I believe cancel the damage. Yeah, got taken out. And it feels like now, I mean, I don't think there's a way back in for CFO. Kind of sucks to write a team off in a game so early, but you're down 8,000 gold as the team that gets outscaled. I feel like you don't have that many options.
Yeah, there's many games where it's not so certain, even if you get outscaled, but they've pretty much gone entirely early game here and lost the early game in reality. And so now we see Wako does have his Navori now building towards that Bloodthirster. And there's just, as you said, not really much they can do. Junjia has that Radiant Virtue now and 3 stopwatches on the side of PSG. So what can Malphite even find?
Does feel very difficult, right? Has himself the Shadow Flame, but so much magic resist has already come in, especially on the top side of the side of PSG, and feels like, you know, you're trying to kill Wako, but he has flash and ult. And even then, you know, even if you hit the ult, I'm not sure the follow-up exists to take him out. Mid tower will be getting low here, and I think it should be picked up. Don't even need the Baron to keep sieging right now, CFO. Are trying to hold a little bit more. And I think this might be the top tower falling as well. Are they going to look towards it? Looks like they will. Very nice and methodical here from PSG.
Yeah, it's really nice how they're using this Vi to sort of zone from going to these towers. And as you said, without Baron, they're able to take 2 towers here, both in and out of top and middle. Now, I guess they're going to recall. There is Baron and Dragon spawning both at the same time. It is Soul for PSG. I don't think they'll want to give either over, but ultimately they can trade Soul for Baron, and I think with 1 Baron they probably should end the game, so have to see how they play this out. They are headed bot side for the time being.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of options. Could just start it and honestly DPS the Baron down in time, probably still get to the drag. Looks like they are going to play a little bit safer though, drop a lot of vision and try and make sure there is no trade. And I think importantly, Yubao, Stopwatch, Banshees, and Flash must be virtually unkillable here. I don't think anyone can really get him. Only 2 kills for CFO, and they were both solo kills, or sorry, both top lane kills from Gemini there. And the Gnar, you know, despite being put behind, has himself a 20 CS lead and certainly found impact. Even has himself a BF sword right now.
Yeah, wonder what that... Oh, that must be Guardian Angel. But
probably, yeah.
For the time, they are pushing in the mid lane, and they can definitely just go do this Dragon because there is no real opportunity for CFO to take the Baron. They just literally have no damage onto that objective, and so... Watch out here, Wako going to have to use his ult. Actually holds it really smart and massive damage onto Rest there at the back. So nothing really committed there. It was Shiralia's from Karma, but now they'll just back off and be able to take this Soul, and you'd have to think Baron shortly after.
There's so many waves crashing in the CFO base, and how can you ever do that Baron, especially with your team composition? And the Dragon Soul being Mountain as well makes it even more difficult for a team that's designed around, you know, the lethality of Varus poke as well as kind of one-shotting someone. Feels like CFO are just completely out of options. Probably already thinking about the next game here, honestly, as Baron. It should be picked up in relatively short order, and you'd have to think the game after that. Maybe Gemini can go for some sort of miracle steal. Is sort of in position, but base checking is going to be so hard. Nice by Arjun Woody just to guard the pit. Therefore, they're trying something. I think they kind of have to.
Yeah, Woody won't quite land on quickness. Will now, and it looks like Jimmy and will be going down. Is surviving for now, flash away. But we see cease and desist committed. It is Junjia really far in front of everyone as Rest is going to look for a massive ult. Holds it for now as he doesn't really have the vision necessary to commit it.
I guess nice there from CFO to delay this Baron, at least for now, but it is turned back on. I think CFO, they potentially have a chance. I mean, they have cooldown advantage.
Yeah, Junjia out of the pit trying to deal with Gemini as Wako is taken down. Actually, on the bottom of our screens, we see Rest going down here to Yubao. Junjia not really taking any damage from these 3 members of CFO as Yubao is here now to help him out. Has to go golden for now. He is going to flash back into the pit to safety as we now see another engagement from Junjia, getting really, really low. Chain of Corruption lands. It will be him going down. A third kill now picked up from Gemini. But Ozzy finds a 3-man now on the top. It is going to look likely like an ace here. If not, it will be the game anyway. It is likely to be PSG here picking up game number 1.
And in only 30 minutes, an extremely dominant performance from PSG. I'm going to find them game 1 in this series. I think that last team fight, CFO honestly played pretty much as well as they could, but ultimately just too far behind on a composition that can't really afford to. I think we're kind of seeing the PSG that we saw more in the regular season, the one that looked like even the other top teams couldn't touch, as they do eventually pick up game number 1 here. Come on, hit the Nexus, fellas. They do get it. I do want to say, though, I think that might have been the most one-sided draft of the playoffs so far. It really felt like, even with, a pretty significant lead, CFO were going to have trouble in the team fights. It's just so difficult for the likes of Akali and Malphite to kill a Xayah, right? Especially with all that peel, all that point and click that can come through. Not to mention that Yubao got fed as well. It wasn't just kind of the one threat you're used to. And I think you can kind of chalk that up to a lot of unexpected things coming through, right? How often do you see the Syndra in the first 3? Not much, to be honest. We probably should see it more, because I think it is a champ that's hard to counter, especially with that LeBlanc banned away. And that might be something that, the Syndra ban might end up being matched for the LeBlanc ban later on.